Because as you already know, writing a book is very hard work. The many sleepless nights, the arid afternoons, early morning inspiration, the research, the distraction, but we're truly excited. A decade of impactful progressive governance in Nigeria, birthed in Imo State, research across Nigeria, now being launched in Owerri, to the glory of God. We are, as I told you earlier, a trio of directors of ceremony. My name is Eugenia Abu, and I'm absolutely delighted. As a region of my in-laws, my son is married from here, my elder sister is married from this region. I must show some love to Imo people before on this same throw me out.
Your Excellencies, the great significance of the kola nut to our cultures and tradition, the unifying factor, as they say, grown in the north, eaten in the west, and the east, and revered in the south, and all over Nigeria. May I therefore, in reference to this unifying fruit, which plays a significant role in our culture and traditions, now request one who knows appropriately how to introduce the breaking of kola nut, and is in waiting himself, Chief Oke Bakassi. Tell us about the introduction of the kola nut.
Thank you very much, the great Cyril Stover. Kola nuts is how we share communion in Igbo land. But before we make that formal presentation, permit me to just quickly recognize some of the royal fathers in our midst. Earlier on, I did recognize the very revered His Royal Majesty, Igwe Nemeka Alfred Achebedi Obi of Onitsha, Abogidi. We recognize him as a round of applause. We also have His Royal Majesty, Adeye Nito Ogunwusi, the Ooni of Ife, Oba Ajaja II, please, a round of applause. We also have His Royal Majesty, the Obama of Calabar, Edina Eko Gonabasi. Round of applause. We have His Royal Majesty, Alhaji Yahya Abubakar, the Mingi the 12th, the Amayana of Nembe Kingdom. We recognize you. Alongside countless number of traditional rulers, we also have faith leaders, lots of them, more than 10 bishops in attendance. We recognize all of you. Oge Role, Eji Mochi, Nali Mochi Ala Nubeke, Iwe Kutranochi, Wototi Boneshi Kusinana here. That is to say, once kola nut is presented in Igbo land, it signifies that as a guest you will be warmly received. And this is how we share communion, that is why it's special. To do that, permit me to invite the Secretary of the State Government, Imo State Government, please, a round of applause for Chief.
Thank you, Oke Bakassi. Your Excellency, GCFR, President and Commander-in-Chief, Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Your Excellency, Professor Mentewa Yatade, National Chairman of APC, Your Excellency, Senator Godswill Akpabio, the President of the Senate, Your Excellency, Senator Hope Uzodimma,
the governor of Imo State. Let me recognize the dignitaries here present. Let me also thank the Royal Majesties for today's occasion to welcome our guests with our own traditional way. Imo, the presentation of Kola North. Ohaneze ndewonu. Ejimaha, the local organizing committee. Now, Nabata, especially our CFR, the commander-in-chief, the armed forces, and the president of our great country, Nigeria. Now, Hanese Neba.
They are still on.
It's important that we pay attention to this colonial rights.
The president
Commission for the good name.
Go ahead. He has it. This one is
It's important that you pay attention to this part of the ceremony. This is Abogidi. Abogidi.
When it comes
Right. It's still the celebration of Kola Nut. In Nigeria, we say the Yorubas grow kola nuts, the Hausas eat kola nuts, the Igbos celebrate kola nut. But wherever you go in the country, this forms part of a very rich culture of how we as Africans celebrate ourselves, seniority, how we identify our close neighbors. All these elements of culture all intertwined to make us who we are as Africans, people rich in culture. For those who don't understand what is happening, the royal fathers have put their blessing on Kola Nut, and he has moved from dignitary to dignitary as they collect. Some is supposed to go back home to explain that at least you came to him. All right, as the Kola Nut goes round, once I get signals from the SSG that we are done with Kola Nut, we can carry on with the rest of the program from here. Because Mr. Cyril Soba is standing by. All right, I see signals from the governor of Lagos State to say that they are done and we can make progress. But the signal I'm waiting for is that from His Excellency.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, Mr. President.
We're done.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen,
We're done.
now is the time to invite, to present his opening address, the chairman of today's occasion, who is also the chairman of the governing party, the national chairman, Professor Bentawe Yelwata, National Chairman, All Progressives Congress, APC, and Chairman of today's occasion. We invite you respectfully to present your address. Let's appreciate it.
Let me start by recognizing our dear President and the father of our party and the patriot. Also, let me recognize His Excellency, the Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio, and also His Excellency, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, His Excellency, the Deputy Senate President, Senator Barrow Jibrin, and His Excellency, the Deputy Excellency, Governor Hope Uzodinma. Let me also recognize the other governors here present and other distinguished ladies and gentlemen here present. Today, to me, is a privilege. For the first time, the chairman of the party, in occasion of this magnitude, to welcome you to this special occasion and also stand as a proud national chairman of the custodian of the decade of transformation and a steward of the legacy that millions of Nigerians built through their resilience, their sacrifice, and belief in a better nation. Therefore, this occasion is not just merely an unveiling of a book, but a presentation of a national testament, a chronicle of courage, of challenges, and a conviction of the progressive. It is a mirror of reflecting where we have also. As the author reminds strange bedfellows, but today the story is different. The cynics that call us strange, history now recognizes us as visionary, that Nigeria, which we count on it then, has been forged into a conviction that Nigeria deserved more, and a change was not just possible, but it is urgent. From the foundation, Major rose a movement that would rewrite the history of the political history of Nigeria, delivering the first successful opposition victory in 2015 and planting the seed of reform, whose fruit we are reaping today. Beginning greater than political endurance, we are celebrating transformation, delivery, and deepening of our democratic ethos. Permit me to honor the visionary and remind us of the important work of what the host governor, Governor Hope Uzodinma, a man of deep thought, seasoned governance, and strategic foresight. As the chairman of Progressive Governors Forum, his leadership has been a stabilizing force, his intellect a guiding light, and with this publication, he has become both a chronicler and a conscience of the progressive journey. And what more can I say of our president, His Excellency, so that transformation is not just a comfort, but courage. If governance were an orchestra, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a conductor, blending both reform with resilience and vision with action. His leadership has ushered in an era where bold decisions are not just feared, but they're embraced. Therefore, this book will not be complete without capturing the transformative momentum already unfolding under the president. A continuation and deepening of progressive mission. Let me list a few of them. The removal of subsidy through no challenging was a decision of historic proportion. The student loan scheme now ensures that the gates of higher institution learning are not open to only the rich, but anyone can aspire, and many of the less privileged can now go to the higher institutions. The Renew Hope Infrastructure Fund is reshaping our landscape, rebuilding our roads, our bridges, and railways, and broadband infrastructure across the country, connecting all parts of the country and revitalizing communities. And I can go on and list so many sectors that we've actually touched as a government. But let me list that, as African proverb says, until the lion learns to write his own story, every story will glorify the hunter. Today, Governor Hope Uzodinma teaches us that the lion to write. This book is our own voice. It's our version. It's our vision of the last decade, boldly told and firmly grounded in truth. What makes this book powerful is not shy away from confronting the areas that as a party and as a government we need to improve. He said we should improve on security, on internal democracy, and also in anti-corruption. This is a hallmark of maturity. It reflects the heart of a party that refuses to rest for the future, that is rooted in inclusive governance, youth empowerment, and strong institutions, and leadership that puts the people first. It reminds us that as a party, the voter is not just a number, but they are partners in progress with the party. They are friends and they are progressive. This launch is not just the final pitch, it is the opening of the paragraph of a renewed national story. Let us not simply applaud what has been done. Let us commit to the greater work ahead. Let us remember that the true essence of power is not just a position, but it lies in the service. And in the voice of Nigerian poet Gabriel Okara, let me live deep while I live. Let me learn all that I can, and let me give all that I have. As APC members, governors, generation to generation, may it remind us that after us, the APC may not build just to win election alone, but to deliver a new Nigeria where all will belong. May our great party, the all citizens of Nigeria, and for the unity of our great nation. Let me thank you for listening, and may God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you, and God bless you.
Professor Nentawe Yewatda, who has described this book as a book of transformation and the delivery of democracy dividends, describing the governor of Imo State, who has written the book, as a chronicler of our conscience and the writer of our democratic journey. Isn't it wonderful to see a governor decide as they stand the test of time and remain in the annals of history of a book that talks about deepening democracy and the impact of the APC. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let's hear another round of applause for the chairman. Your Excellencies, I'd like to put on record the fact that the former APC chair, former governor of Kano State, Dr. Ganduje, is here with us. We welcome you, sir. In that speech, His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, was described as a man who has done his due diligence and understands that we as a nation are in a hurry. Let's give His Excellency, Mr. President, a round of applause. Today we stand on the cusp of history as a book has been written on the APC and its impactful journey. This International Conference Center, Owerri, commissioned by His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is newly minted, a sight for sore eyes. Look, the beautiful standard and towering edifice that has been gifted to the people of Imo, and the governor of Imo State has done a yeoman's job. We congratulate you, sir. Well done. Speaker, up to now, that Mr. President has several events to go to, so we now need to truly fast track. Please establish the protocol that has already been established. Stay on it, especially since it has been well established, so that you mention Mr. President, our chief host, and our esteemed ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, our book reviewer is Professor Bernard Chima. He's a professor of biochemistry and molecular biology at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. He has served the university in different capacities: director of the University Bookshop, director advancement, and chairman of Senate Ceremonials Committee. Professor Nwaguma is a highly skilled with a long-standing and broad-based interest in books. He is the founder of the Book Samaritans, a campus book charity that promotes reading and book ownership. Professor Nwaguma is currently working on a book project known as Sahara Classics, whose main objective is to ensure that the classic works of art, literature, and humanities do not disappear from the bookshelves in our homes, schools. Who is the book reviewer? Prof, could you make your way up here? Thank you very much.
Yeah, this one is not too loud, so I will keep this one here. Yeah, it's slippery, so this will slide out. And leave it here as well.
Your Excellency,
President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the Chief Host, the Governor of Imo State, the Chairman of the occasion, the National Chairman of the All Progressives Congress, and like the compare said, please permit me to most respectfully adopt already established protocol and proceed with the book review as follows. Truth be said, my first words therefore are words of appreciation, and they are directed first at His Excellency, the Governor of Imo State, the author of the book, and to the organizers of today's book presentation for this very rare opportunity to play this key role. The review. The title of the book is A Decade of Impactful Progressive Governance in Nigeria. The author, as we know, is Hope Uzodinma, whom we all recognize as Senator Hope Uzodinma, the Governor of Imo State and the Chairman of All Progressive Governors Forum. The publisher. The book is published by Scribble City Publications. Genre. The book fits into the genre of political science or politics, if you like. Organization and structure. This book of 373 pages is organized into 10 chapters, but also includes a foreword written by Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, the former national chairman of the All Progressive Governors. All Progressive Congress, APC, and contains an epilogue. The chairman, with your approval, and because of the uniqueness of the book, I intend to do a chapter-by-chapter review of the book as follows. The introduction. The author starts this book by revealing when and why he decided to write the book in the first place. Then he gives credit to the founder of the All Progressives Congress, APC, as well as who played a key role in turning this coalition of small opposition parties into the success that it has become. He wraps up the introduction by highlighting the main goals of APC and how the party took advantage of the weaknesses of the ruling PDP to mount a rather successful campaign of change in 2015. Chapter 1, the early progressive movements and parties in Nigeria. In this leading chapter of 71 pages, the author traces the history of progressive party politics in the country. He starts with the All Progressive Congress, APC, in 2013. In his opinion, all the nationalist movements of the pre-independence era, as well as the political parties of the First, Second, and Third Republics, had varying degrees of progressive agenda in their DNA. The grain of this chapter is the contribution of progressive governance or policies to the development of the country over the years. Chapter 2, defining progressive, a clear and concise exploration of the term. In this chapter, the author does the following. First, he defines the term progressive as applied in politics and governance, then successfully traces the origin of progressive politics to the 19th and the 20th centuries, and then makes a distinction very clear on the evolution and the impact of progressive governance in Europe, Latin America, Asia, and to a lesser extent, Africa. Chapter 3, the APC Manifesto and its core policies. In chapter 3, the author sets out to show the key progressive policies and programs which have been implemented in the last 10 years and how they represented the main tenets of the APC Manifesto. He emphasizes the policies, programs around social welfare, inclusiveness, economic reforms, investment in infrastructure, the fight against corruption and insecurity, as well as the establishment of the Regional Development Commissions, ATC. Chapter 4, A Decade of Progressive Governance, Sectoral Achievements, and Chapter 5, Progressive Governance in Action. Chapters 4 and 5 constitute, in my opinion, the kernel of this book. This is because in these two chapters, the author successfully highlights and discusses the many and far-reaching achievements of the APC-led administrations in the last decade. Prominent amongst these are the social security programs, the economic reforms, including removal of petrol subsidy and the harmonization of exchange rates, efforts at job creation, poverty alleviation, infrastructural development, especially in housing and transportation infrastructure, including rail, road, air, and improved food security, agriculture, environmental sustainability, security, and defense. The author did not leave out the fiscal policies and reforms which have brought the much-needed stability to the economy of the country. The additional information in Chapter 5 is that these policies, programs, and reforms were well thought through, articulated, and carefully implemented as part of the progressive governance. Hence, the title of Chapter 5 is Progressive Governance in Action. The Chairman, I am tempted to say this, that anyone who does not have the stamina to read the entire book should go straight to chapters 4 and 5. In this chapter of 26 pages, the author made an interesting attempt to compare the rate of progress recorded in the country between 2005 and 2015, when the country was led by a different political party, the PDP, and the last decade between, namely economic performance, social development, infrastructure, and the global perception of Nigeria for the comparison. The verdict is summed up in this sentence, and I quote, "In the last decade, APC governance has transformed Nigeria. Economically, Nigeria is more resilient and more reliant today than we were 10 years ago. Nigeria is also reclaiming respect globally. This is the decade that Nigeria turned the corner from years of promise to years of achievement. The Nigeria of 2025 is far better than the Nigeria of 2015, judging by such indicators by which development is assessed," unquote. Chapter 7, the APC's approach to inclusive governance. In this chapter, the author highlighted the policies, programs, and legislations by which the APC administrations manage the diversity of the country, ensuring inclusiveness and disabilities. It is commendable that the author considered it necessary to dedicate an entire chapter to inclusiveness. In doing so, the author reiterated the fact that inclusiveness is one of the policy objectives of APC. The former President Muhammadu Buhari put this poetically when he said, "I belong to everybody and I belong to nobody." The incumbent president, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, put it more elaborately when he declared that his objective is to foster a new society based on shared prosperity, tolerance. Chapter 8, Nigeria on the global stage. The author dedicated this chapter of 20 pages to Nigerian foreign policy. This, he said, is in keeping with the APC manifesto to work towards a more engaged, more effective, and more influential Nigeria on the global scene. Here, the author acknowledges the achievements of the two APC governments improve the global standing of Nigeria and in their relationship with such key countries like America, Europe, and South Africa, and how the governments exploited this new, renewed global standing for both economic and security benefits. Chapter 9, Common Criticisms of the APC and respond to some of the common criticisms which the APC-led administrations have faced over the years. The criticisms, as highlighted in this chapter, border on the management of the economy, policy direction, internal party crisis, and threat to democratic norms. Others are ineffective fight against corruption, institutional weaknesses, the slow the ongoing fight against insecurity. The inclusion of this chapter must be seen as a candid attempt by the author to write a balanced book that does not only heap praises on the party in power. Chapter 10, The Way Forward for Democratic Governance in Nigeria. In this final chapter, the author sounded quite positive and optimistic about the future of Nigeria under the watch of the All Progressives Congress. And this is due to his conviction that the policies, programs, legislations, and reforms needed to transform Nigeria have now been put in place. And he likened this to the planting of seeds, which are sure to bring forth the bountiful harvest. The epilogue. In the epilogue, this author simply summed up the key achievements or successes of the APC administrations under these familiar headings of the economy, security, the fight against corruption, social welfare, infrastructure, food security, agriculture, education and health, digital economy, workers' welfare, and regional development. Thereafter, the author gives credit to members of the APC, especially the founder, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR, as well as the past and present leaders of the party, former and present holders of elected and appointed offices, whose ideas, he said, shaped the policies and programs of APC. The author ends the book with a peep into the future and urged leaders to be prepared for the challenges that will be posed by climate change, artificial intelligence, and other new technologies. The chairman, the strength of the book. The author set out to articulate, chronicle, and document the impact of progressive governance in Nigeria as delivered by the All Progressives Party. The book is brilliantly written and the timing couldn't be better. And like they say, it's probably the book whose time has come. The book deserves credit first for its originality, both in concept and in execution. The uniqueness and rigor that went into the book draw my admiration. The coverage is extent and depth of research, but also in the presentation. The weakness. Like all works of man, the book is not without flaws. Most of it, however, are of the editorial nature that can be easily dealt with in subsequent editions or publications. The other weakness, as expected, nature, they've created opportunities for others to contribute to the subject of progressive governance in the country. My recommendation: this is a book about governance and politics. And so who should read this? My sincere response would be everyone who has an interest in governance and politics in Nigeria, and this might just be everyone. Conclusion: I've had the privilege of reviewing a good number of books in my career. This one stands out for its originality, the uniqueness, and the purpose for which it was written. Without doubt, it will serve as a valuable reference document for a long time to come. But please do not take my word for it. Make an effort to read the book and form your own opinion. My final words. The chairman, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, if I'm given the latitude to share one of my favorite sections of the book, it will be found in the last paragraph of the conclusion, where the author made bold to give credit to the opposition. I quote, "I thank the opposition for keeping us on our toes and for challenging us to be a better political party. We know we have not solved all the problems of this country, and this was never our promise. But as progressives, have we set Nigeria on a path of renewed hope? The answer is yes."
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Mr. President, as I often say, the only thing tougher than being a man is being a married man. And if I may add, the only thing tougher than being a married man is being an Igbo married man. because a lot of responsibilities rest on those shoulders. Without wasting further time, it's time to invite. Imo State has been blessed with very great leaders to the federal government to help Imo people. And when they did not respond, he challenged our parents to contribute 1 naira, and they built the Imo State Airport. Imo State have been blessed with leaders like the one that I'm about to introduce, a very visionary leader of this great state, the man who has encapsulated his program in the 3R agenda of reconstruction, rehabilitation, and recovery of the former glory of this great state. I'm talking about the author of a decade of impactful progressive governance in Nigeria, and the chairman of the Progressive Governors Forum, the governor of Imo State, the senator of the leader Ozodinma. Your Excellency, talk to us.
Your Excellency, the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, GCFI, Your Excellency, the President of the Senate, distinguished Senator Godswill Akpabio, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Abbas Tajudeen, PhD, CFI. Excellency, my dear brother governors, our great leaders, their Royal Highnesses, for want of time, as advised by the anchor of this program, let me align myself with the protocol. Please, esteemed members of our great party, I warmly, with due humility, welcome all of us to this special occasion, the public presentation of my latest book, A Decade of Impactful Progressive Governance in Nigeria. Looking across this hall and seeing leaders of our great party gathered under one roof, I am reminded again that Nigeria's story is never written by one person. It is written together, and that is exactly the product of months of deep reflection, careful research, and honest writing. It offers an account of the APC's journey in government from the year 2015